On this week's episode of the Pit Therapy Podcast, Kyle is back and we are joined by Mike Perez. Mike is the vocalist for No Bragging Rights, Burner State, and then a new skate punk project, Easy Out. He is also one of the mics that hosts the Walking Blind podcast. This episode gets off to a fun start where Mike shares with us his background with the Salt Lake scene. We get into how the Walking Blind pod got its start, and then we dig into some of his music. This episode went a little bit longer than we expected, so we really do appreciate the time that he took with us. Let's open this pit up.
Somebody hit somebody!
I should have asked you guys, because do you guys swear on your guys' podcast?
Oh, you're good, man. It's all
Say what you
good.
want. Yeah. We don't
Go out
we
of your
don't
way
really
to.
have stuff that we don't talk about either. So
Okay,
you
cool.
know, you say what you want to say. You can make fun of Trevor as much as you want.
Yeah, it's all good.
Say the weird thing.
Exactly.
I love it.
No, I will say though, no Hawk Tua or whatever, because I'm so sick of seeing that on
gosh.
social media. None of that. But all right. Yeah, thanks for jumping on to this week's episode of the Pit Therapy Podcast.
Of course.
I'm Kyle, and I'm here with Trevor, and we are joined with a very special guest, Mike, who is probably just sick of us asking him to join, so he gave in finally. You know?
No. I want to. I've enjoyed you guys' podcast, man. I've actually listened to a couple episodes.
We very much appreciate that. We enjoy, I mean, honestly, probably everything you've touched. So, all your music and podcasts. So, very, very grateful to have you on. Yeah. So we wanted to, me and Trevor, big fans of No Bragging Rights for a while. Listen to the Walking Blind podcast. Huge fans of what that stands for and checking in on your homies. I think that's just an incredible message and stuff. So, yeah, super grateful to have you on. And yeah, Trevor, I don't know if you want to get anything out of the way first.
No, yeah. We'll just get into this. But no, for real, really appreciate, you following and everything like that. And dude, I love the Walking Blind podcast. I was listening to the episode with Sean today, the one you just dropped from Differences. That dude,
man.
he is hilarious.
Dude,
that episode was wild. It was so fun. So yeah, go for it.
I was just gonna say, normally, when I looked at the time, because it's always oh man, it's a long episode. But I was thinking back on it, I'm it didn't feel long for me when we were doing it. And somebody like him, he's just I was listening, I go through and try to listen to see if I can clip something or make a comment on it later. And I listen to the whole freaking episode again just because
yeah,
I don't know, he's just a fun dude. So
no, yeah. I was the same way. It was front to back. I do it when I'm doing work stuff, so it's just on in the background. And it was 2.5 hours later, and I was like, "Oh, dude, I'm done with the episode." It was just in the blink of an eye. But you bring on a bunch of just the California homies. So Walking Blind podcast. How did it get started? How do you pick your guests? What's the goal of everything?
So you guys know this. So I just told you guys, but in case this is a video, people can see it. I'm not high. I am just tired. So my eyes are just shot. But the podcast. So it came about. So Mike has been trying to get me to do a podcast for forever. Because he's dude, you should go on and just talk. I feel like people want to listen to you. Because I was doing Instagram lives, and he's that's a podcast, dude. Just do that. That's what it is. And I was well, no, I don't want to do a podcast because I'm not that guy. I'm not going to be responsible for filming it, editing it, making it sound good, and I was I'm not gonna do it. I was the reason I do Instagram lives is because I just hit a button and it goes, and that's it. And then if I don't want to do something, I won't do it. I'm not obligated. And so he's just been hounding me. He's dude, that's so dumb. You should do it. And then during the pandemic, we would just meet up at the coffee shop that I work at. We would just meet up every Saturday and get coffee, and then we would just vent because nobody was hanging out, right? Nobody's doing anything. And so we just had this moment of just hanging out and just one being hanging out with someone, which is cool, right? And then kind of just venting and like talking about what was going on in our lives, and then that kind of like became like the podcast in a way, or at least that's when he started to convince me, like, dude, if I do everything and you just like show up and talk, would you do it? And I was like, yeah, but like that's the deal, dude. Like I'm gonna just like I'm not gonna do anything, man. Like I promise I'm not gonna do anything. And he's like, all right, he's like, I'll do it. 'Cause he's actually he's done a podcast in the past. So like,
Oh, cool.
so he knows more or less, what he needs to do and stuff. And so I literally just like, just showed up and talked. And it was supposed to just be like me. Like I was going to pick like different like things to like talk about or whatever. I kind of started to do it on my Instagram, but I was going to like go through like different songs of my own, and then also go over like different songs from bands that I like. Cause like I'm a big like lyric reader. And so I just wanted to do something, which I think we might still do on the Walking Wide podcast, but like I like going and like dissecting lyrics and just like seeing what they are, either if it's just praising what they are or like trying to like decipher what they are. Like I've always loved that. And so
Yeah.
that was going to be part of, I think, what the podcast was going to be. But like Mike, just because I was like so shy and like so scared, he's like, I'll do the first one with you, and that way it'll be like I'll be like a mediator, and then once you do like the first two episodes, then I'll just disappear and it'll just be you. And like after like the first time we did it, I was like, nah. I was like, you should stay on, dude. Like it's just easier to talk, and this is what we do anyway. Like every Saturday, that's like what we do, is what we talk about. And so it was like a pretty easy uh like process, as far as like we ended up just basically doing what we do on Saturdays, and we just kind of started doing the podcast. And then you know I don't know, I think we've gotten a little better at like somewhat of like a structure now, but yeah, man, that's kind of how it started, just like us
Dude, that
venting.
story, it's like it's exactly what we were, right? So me, Kyle, and Josh, the three
Mhm,
hosts who do the pit therapy, it was the
mhm,
same thing. We had a group text thread where we would send each other music. We were like, check out this song, check out this band, all that stuff. And finally it got to the point where it was like, if we're sitting here talking to each other, why not at least record it
Yeah.
and just see
yeah,
where it goes? You know what I mean?
Because
yeah,
we've literally known each other. What did you say, Trevor? 25 years when
We're
I was
right
out
there.
there last week.
We're about there.
So we,
dang.
have all these stories of us in high school sneaking into shows or, doing
That's
dumb crap
awesome,
together. So when we got together, that's all we would talk about anyway. So we're like, well, let's just record it and people could judge us from the outside. So
dude. It's rad. And
yeah,
I feel like obviously like everyone, like good scenes are all over the place, but like Salt Lake City. I don't know if you guys are like Salt Lake City proper, but like just Salt Lake City in general, like it's always been like such a cool scene. Like
yeah.
You have like
even
a little
yeah,
bit of a tie here. Like, what's
dude.
the tie that you've developed over the years with Salt Lake?
So dude, it's. Do you want me to go into like the full on like MySpace days and what it was?
Yeah, whatever you want,
Yeah,
man.
dude,
Like,
go for it.
sure. MySpace is what started Salt Lake for you.
Yeah. Well, so okay, so and I mean, this is a little bit fuzzy now. It's been a long time. Kind of wanted to forget about old stuff, but as if I'm remembering correctly, in the early days of like MySpace is still a thing. That's how we were still trying to like reach out to like bands or venues or promoters or whatever. And so I remember Salt Lake City was always a tough one, because I felt like our first messages were like "fuck off," basically. And so, because I think we weren't like heavy enough, and then the other thing was, I don't think as I think it might have been we might have reached out to, but like I think it's because like we weren't like an edge band, and I think maybe we had just like naively were trying to get on basically the wrong show. Is I think what it looking back on it now, because it's like, dude, we got like kind of hate for no reason, I felt like, but looking back on it now, I think we were just trying to get on the wrong shows at the time. So this is like 2000 like 7 or something,
Okay.
or yeah, it was a long time ago. Anyway, so I've always had this like in the back of my mind, this like fear of like, dude, we're gonna get jumped if we like go to Salt Lake City. And so I remember we ended up going, and like our first couple times we went through, it was like really uneventful. It was like really small turnouts, and the shows were like fine, which is like, I was like, hey, we didn't get jumped, so like this was like this was a win. Um, we had played a venue that had just recently, and this is what people were telling us before. It was a venue that I guess like famously there was like it was like basically like a riot had broken out, which I don't know how common that is, but it was it was like
It's not uncommon.
yeah, it was like all that to say is that I remember when we started playing, when as soon as kids started moving, they got kicked out because
Yeah.
like they were like trying to get rid of like because whatever had happened, it like just happened like the weekend before kind of thing, and it was like so they're like the venue. It was like a theater almost kind of thing.
Yeah. It was called Avalon.
Avalon.
Had a
Yes,
slope floor. Yeah.
yes, yeah,
I'm
that
pretty sure
place.
we were at your show. So,
Oh no
Yeah.
way,
yeah,
dude.
I'm
And
pretty
So
sure we were there.
allegedly, those things happened. I'm just gonna
okay,
allegedly.
well, so like we had small turnouts was like the norm for us, especially back then like when we were touring through. And so I don't know, I've just always had it in the back of my mind that like I've always been like waiting for something like bad to happen when we come to like Salt Lake. It's funny, I don't think I've ever like shared this. And so then we like I forget which one. I don't know who saw us in Logan.
That was me. Yeah.
Is that you? Okay,
Yeah.
that was with TIE Fighter, right?
Is that who played? I only remembered you guys. I thought that
Yeah.
like it was you guys and then a couple like Logan bands, and there was like six of us there. Like there was no one.
Oh, dude. Okay, well, it might have been with TIE Fighter. Anyway, so I remember we had played and like it was like fun for like all six of you guys there. You guys were like really rad. And I remember thinking like, oh, this was like cool. Like I'd like to, I'm starting to feel a little better about coming through. The six dudes liked us, and even though it wasn't like Salt Lake City, it was like close enough. And then maybe in our minds, like, oh, maybe we just skip Salt Lake City and like not worry about it. And so I don't know how long after that uh, we got booked at the Outer Rim,
Hmm.
and we got booked, and that was when we were out with Defiance and Across the Sun, and so we got booked at this venue, and I remember it being like I don't know if that was like actually Salt Lake City. Was that in Salt Lake City?
Yeah, it's
Is that
close enough. I think that
okay?
was West Valley, but Salt
All
Lake
right,
pretty much.
yeah. So this was like one of those like okay, like we're going into Salt Lake City, and like this is actually like from what we had understood and with like a little research was like oh they actually like there's like they throw like hardcore shows here like it's so I was like so again nervous, and so we show up. Everyone was like really rad to us when we showed up, but like for for Affiance and for Across the Sun, like during their sets, it was just like nobody was like really feeling them, and there was something that was happening that like I actually kind of like respect about the Salt Lake scene, and it's that nobody left the venue, but like people were like just kind of like hanging out or like sitting down on the stage and stuff, which at first was kind of like, dang, that's rough. But also I'm like, well, at least they're in here listening. Whereas in California, if they don't know you or you're like not the headliner, like it's like the norm for like people just like leave the venue and it just like empties out. It could be like a packed show and then like a band plays and nobody knows and then crickets.
Empty.
And then as soon
Interesting.
as the band that comes, whatever band comes on, then it packs up again. So I just remember thinking like, well, at least they're here, and like even if they don't give a shit about us, like at least everyone's here and they're being at least respectful. And so I remember I think it was I think Let's Burn It Down was like right before us, because I think they had just like done a little run, and so their set was like it was like ape shit. Like their set was so rad. And so then I was just like, oh, everybody's here for them. They're gonna all leave after they play. Like, oh, this makes sense. Like, okay, this makes sense. Everyone's gonna take off after they play, and that's like everybody's just waiting for them. And so they played, murdered, and then like we're like setting up, and I'm just preparing for like everyone to like be gone basically because it's like it's the norm. And dude, as soon as we started playing, we opened with I remember we opened with setting the tone, and I wish, well, yeah, I think I'd like to see the video. If there's a video that exists, I would love to see it because I would love to see what my face was because I just remember being completely like in shock, like almost to the point where like I was almost like taken out of it. Like, is everybody singing out of like? Is everyone just being like funny? Is everyone like? Did they learn the words ironically? Like it was crazy. Like everyone rushed the front. Everybody was singing the intro, and I just like was like trying to process what was happening, and that was like the beginning of like like Salt Lake City like fucks with us now, I
Yeah.
guess. Like, and it was just rad. And like I think maybe it was also kind of like the newer, like probably the newer generation of dudes that are coming out and stuff. So I think that might have been a little bit of it. Like learning later on about like the history of Salt Lake City
Sure.
hardcore and some of the politics of it. But yeah, it was just rad. And I remember like we talked to everyone that was there, and stayed friends with a lot of those dudes from that night. Um, and then it just every show after that, it was just like it always get like better and better and better and like build and then we kept getting put in like bigger venues, which was rad, but also it's like we want to pack out like small places. And so, but I mean that was kind of where it started. It started at Outer Rim, and it just like I don't know how to explain it other than just like Salt Lake has always just been like really cool to us since then. And it's like you never want to say like, oh, you never want to say like a name of like this is my favorite place to play, but like I would say it. I'd be like, dude, Salt Lake City is like my favorite spot.
Sick.
Like, yeah, like
It's awesome.
it was just different. It was just cool. Like that was, I say like I felt like that was where a lot of friends from that scene were like really good about like just like staying in touch even when tours were done. It wasn't like uncommon for somebody to hit me up like randomly, like in between tours and just being like, "Yo, what's up? Or hey, well, that's sick." Or even just like, "Dude, that's so sick. I saw you guys are gonna go out with this band. That's so awesome, dude. Congratulations."
That's
Like,
awesome.
That's
you know what I
awesome.
mean?
Yeah.
And so it's just like stuff like that, kind of like really, like, I don't know, that it's just cool. Like that went like a long way with us. Um, and
It's
yeah.
it's kind of funny to hear that because growing up in Salt Lake, from our perspective, we were always like, well, shoot, bands don't want to come here, you know? So I don't
Yeah.
know if it maybe was like an older generation that scared people off. I know, you probably know the history now. There's a lot of crap that's gone on in that scene for a while, but it was like we grew up and we felt like Salt Lake got skipped all the time, and we hated that, So it's kind of funny to hear another side of it, to be like, oh, well, we didn't know if we were necessarily welcome there, but we always thought like, well, they don't like us,
Yeah. Well, it's funny because like, dude, from like that from that moment until our last run that we did, like it was always one of those things where like some bands would be like, oh man, tomorrow's Salt Lake, and like we're like, dude, I know it's gonna go off, and they're like, what? They're like, we were shocked that this is even like a stop, and we're like, dude, no, it's like this is like what I circle like on my calendar for, like it's gonna be rad. And so like I we'd always either find a band that was always surprised that like we did well there, or like that we were even going there on the tour. And so yeah, it's just weird. I don't know. I think it might have just been like an old thing that just carried, stuck with some bands. And
Sure.
I don't know.
I mean,
I
we had a lot of issues with shows getting shut down. I literally, like, one of my core memories of that Avalon Theater is I was standing there as crap was going down, and I was standing right next to Krista from I Wrestle the Bear once, and her comment was, "Every fucking time we come to Salt Lake, this shit happens." And so it was one of those things where it was just like, you never knew if you were even going to play that night, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because if something did happen, like you said, the venues were quick to shut things down. The
Yeah.
promoters in Salt Lake sucked for a long time, kind of thing. So it was a weird place for a while. But the scene was always strong. Like it was always a fun place to like if they liked you, if the scene likes you, they were gonna go off. They were gonna have
Yeah.
fun with you, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
Oh, dude. Yeah. That's like what we felt. You know, it's like it's cool. I feel like MBR has always had this like weird, um, like we do well in the places that we probably shouldn't. You know, like as far as like the like certain tours that we've been on where it's like we're usually like the band that like it's not uncommon for us to be on a tour where like I'm the only fucking dude that sings, right? And so
yeah,
it's so then but then it's like we've done well in like these like places like Detroit. We do really well in Detroit. We do really well uh in Brooklyn, Chicago, like these like kind of like more like harder places, and like we do well there,
Yeah.
that's
and
sick.
it's like
I mean,
it's always a
it's funny.
surprise.
I mean, you bring up the only guy that sings. Like, man, I don't know if y'all were just before your time then with that, because now, like, look at some of these scenes, like bands like Military Gun and stuff that have
Yeah.
just exploded that sing, and I don't know, man. Like, you walk so they could run, you know. But
Man,
seriously, like back in the day, you're right. Like hardcore scene was like you don't sing, you don't guitar solo, you just like
yeah,
it's just heavy music through and through, and so
dude, and we did all of it, man. We did all the no-nos. We covered a really popular song, not like a like a deep cut.
right.
No, dude, which by the way, kudos. I don't know who I don't know who's listening. Whoever knew that thing about how we started doing Live on a Prayer, dude, kudos, because that's literally how it happened, man.
Is it
We were,
really? I was curious
yeah,
about that. If it was just kind of like an urban legend kind of thing you find on the internet, or if that really is what happened.
dude, that was word for word exactly. Dude, like Rick, that was so Rick, our old bass player. So he was like, he does all the cool songs at karaoke, like all the ones that will get like a bar going, right? Like he does those songs. I sing like all like the sad ones and like or like really weird songs. Like so, going to karaoke is always funny because people assume that I'm gonna like sing cool songs like Rick does, and I just don't. And so, yeah, just at practice, and then Rick is just playing that bass line, and then Martin just like, I think it's already like a two step. Like, I think the original version is like a two step basically. And so
Yeah.
we're just like, dude, this is like already kind of hard. And then, and then it just happened, and I hate my vocals on that because those were supposed to be, they're supposed to be like scratched. That was like this. That was like a. That was just kind of like reference takes because um, we recorded the song pretty quickly. We went just to do the single, like just to do that, and we like flew through it, and so we had time, but like not that much time for me to be like, dude, I need to like do a full warm up. Like I don't even like really know this song that well. Like I need to like brush up on it. Like I was gonna do that tonight. Like take the song home, practice it, and then record it tomorrow. That's like what the plan was supposed to be. But we had so much time, so the guys were like, dude, we're gonna waste like almost half a day. Like just go and just lay something down. That way, like tomorrow you can go and fix it, whatever.
Sure.
So I was like, all right. So I went in, just did it, and like kind of messing around with like certain things, and not really like trying. Like that wasn't like I did not think that was going to become what was going to be, 3 million stupid plays later, whatever it was. And so like the next day, I recorded that, and then our buddy like went through and like made like polished it up a little bit,
Mhm.
and then played it for us the next day, and the guys were like stoked, and I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. I was like, let me get in there and like rip it, and everyone's like, no, dude, like it sounds awesome, and I was like, dude, you guys are like piss me off, dude. Like 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 I need to get in there and like, and everyone's like, dude, no, like all like we can use this whole day now for him just to finish mixing the whole thing, and to and then we're done. And I was just like, dude, guys, like that's not these aren't real takes. Like and the guy's like, dude, it sounds awesome. Like, it sounds like raw, like, I don't know. And so
Well, dude, we
eventually kind
listen
of,
to it a ton. So yeah,
uh,
no, you're good, man. Like,
Well, the best part of that is on Apple Music under your guys' is like recommended artists. It'll say like Foreigner and Journey and
yes,
stuff because I think
dude,
that like it
heck
sees
yeah,
your one of your songs is Living on a Prayer. It's great.
dude, hell yeah. I'll take
Yeah.
that.
Um. So I wanted to ask a little bit just about your background.
Mhm.
How'd you get into this music? When did you know that you were like, hey, I can sing, I can do this, or scream, or whatever you want to call it? Like, we can just kind of start there. I just wanted to, kind of get a little bit about your background.
Yeah. So I like Green Day was like my entry drug to all this. Um, I
And
like,
you're from California, right? Like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Southern
that's cheating.
California.
Then you get all that good music growing up like that.
I know it's awesome as a consumer, right? But as a band, it is like crazy competitive. It's like I forget what it was now, but I remember there was like this. It started as a joke and it's real. It's like, dude, like I can pay $10 to go see your band, or I can go to like this local, like this backyard party that actually has a touring band that's going to be playing, or there's the three venues that are like within like 20 to 30 miles from each other, or you drive 40 miles to Los Angeles and then there's like bigger acts that are coming through. So it's like it was just super hard to like get like anyone to care or like
Sure.
get people to do shows and stuff. But anyway, so yeah, so Green Day was like my intro to like finding like punk, and I credit my our original drummer, his brother. I credit him because he like when he would ask me, because I'm a very like particular person with certain things. Like I'm sure there's like something. I'm sure I'm like on the spectrum of certain things, but like I'm just like I know what I like. And so when he was asking me about like what kind of music I was like really liking, I would just say like, oh, it's like alternative, and he was like, that's not a real answer, dude. For you, that's not a real answer, man. And so he was like asking me about like what bands I liked, and I remember him asking me about Metallica. He's like, you like Metallica, right? I was like, yeah. He's like, what do you like about Metallica? And I was like, I like when they go fast. He's like, okay. He's like, do you like his voice, and do you like his like the guitar stuff? I was like, it's all right, I guess. I was like, I don't know, it's like when they go fast. And he's like, I think you like punk, dude, because like I don't know, I think you showed me like Pantera, or we're talking about other bands, and I'm like, it's cool, but I'm not, I don't know. But anytime you show me like punk bands, like Bad Religion, Pennywise, No Effects, things like that. When I remember him showing me that, I was like, oh, this is like, yes, this is it. Like this is what I want. This is what I like. Uh, and so yeah, Green Day led me to like the more like Fat Records and like Epitaph bands at the time. And so I got like super into punk rock. Uh, we had like a family friend. I used to say we're related, but I don't think we're really related. I think it was just like the Hispanic thing where we like said we were like cousins, but we really weren't.
Yeah.
But there's a band called Falling Sickness from Riverside, and it was just one of those things where like I got to see them at we had a venue called the Showcase Theater, and that was like our venue, and and I remember seeing them there, and just like seeing guys that I knew playing music that they wrote. It just made it seem like obtainable, because like I just felt like musicians were just on like the radio and on TV, like they exist in their own, you know. It's like you just
Yeah.
are born to do it or something. And so just kind of like seeing dudes that I knew doing it, like that that was like I think that was when I was like, dude, I want to do this. Like I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna try to do it. So then started MBR. We didn't have any. We didn't know. I don't even think we had instruments yet. We just like had the idea, and then just got our. I was like I'm gonna play guitar and I'm gonna do backup vocals, because like I'm an introvert. Like I want to just be up on stage and be able to hide and let someone else like sing. But like I kind of wanted to be like involved with like writing the lyrics and stuff, and then like doing harmonies. Like that was like that's what I wanted. And so when we started, we were 4 piece, and we had my buddy Joey who was gonna sing, and then I was gonna play guitar. My buddy Ryan on bass, Jose on drums, and so like we that was gonna be our band, but our singer lived in Pomona, which was like a half hour from where we live, maybe not that long, but we were like freshmen in high school, so like we couldn't drive, and so it just got really like lame being like, "Yo, can you come out to like Riverside to like jam with us?"
Can you get
And
your
it's
mom
like,
to drive you? Like,
yeah, yeah, and that's kind of what like that's really what it was. And it's like, nah, it's like my parents can't, they're busy or whatever. And so we were already meeting up and jamming, and so we were like, we were just doing like covers and stuff, and it literally became one of those things where it's like, this is lame. We're just playing, and like it's just music. Like I was like, I'll sing until we find somebody. Like that's literally how it was, because I was like, I don't want to do this. Like I don't want to be like the dude in front. Like, and so that's how it happened. And then I ended up just like staying because like I don't think anybody wanted to be in our band at the time because of we weren't good. And so that's how it started. We like started in our like my freshman year of high school, so that was like '99, and
Jeez.
yeah, that was MBR. So we were like a three piece, like really bad, like MXPX basically.
nice.
And yeah, we did that, and then in like 2004 we like started to get like basically so I really like Strung Out, so that's like the like cool guitar stuff.
Hmm.
And then like around that time too, like I started to hear like Thrice, and so like Thrice was like a big like game changer to be like, oh, like I don't know, maybe screaming is kind of cool, because like I was so like against like anything, because I didn't know what hardcore was. I just related hardcore to metal, and I wasn't like into metal like at all. And so I like I don't know. We started to like get more like aggressive and more like I don't know, like doing more shit with like our writing. And so that's when I was like, we need to find like another guitar player, because I think I just want to sing. And we became a five piece. Um, I don't even know, 2004 or something. I think that's when I stopped playing guitar. Yeah.
So 2000, what was it? 2006 is when you guys
Mhm.
put out the first album, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So 2005 is when Martin and Christian joined.
Okay.
And so like those were like the guys that like just changed like the sound. Like I looking back on it now, we should have like changed our name in 2005, just because it's like, it's just like not a punk band anymore. We started like, we have Martin now, so Martin can play double bass, and like, he's crazy. And
So what were you listening to when you started to write Because You Believe in Something Beyond Them? Because this album is like, it leads in to the Consequence of Dreaming,
mhm.
but it is different, right? And it's
Yeah.
definitely different from MXPX punk band. So what were you guys listening to then?
So so around that time, so I was like just getting, so around 2005, 2004, like early 2005 was when like I started to like warm up to hardcore. And it was the girl I was dating. Like she like yeah, I need to like give her credit for it, because she was like, she's like, you like punk, but you don't like hardcore. She's like, I get you don't like metal. She's like, how do you not like hardcore? It's the progression. She's like, some of the bands that you listen to are hardcore bands. Like Ignite. Ignite is like
Yeah.
one of my all time favorite bands. She's like, Ignite's a hardcore band. I'm like, no, they're like punk. They're like, he like sings and stuff. He doesn't scream. She's like, you don't need it. Like, she had to like break it down for me to like explain like hardcore, and you know, and so like Bane too. Bane was a band that I
Yeah.
like. They're punk to me. She's like, no, that's a hardcore band.
Yeah.
And so like Boy Sets Fire was like another band that like, I don't know if they really were like considered hardcore, but they were like in that like in that realm. Like they toured with a lot of those bands.
Yeah.
And so for me, like during that time, that's kind of what I was like listening to. Like I was still like heavily always listening to like Fat Records bands, like Strung Out, Lagwagon, No
Hmm.
Effects, stuff like that. And then but then I was like really starting to get into like Comeback Kid, Bane, and then another just a weird band for no reason. Just a friend that showed us Shai Hulud, and I remember thinking like I'm I don't know how I feel about this. Like it's like metal, but I started reading the lyrics and I was just like, what the fuck is this? Like I love it, dude. This guy's so angry. This guy hates
Yeah.
everybody. And so I was like this I'm like, oh, I hate heavy stuff. But then I was like listening to Shai Hulud, like, but not considering them like hardcore at all. Like I was like, this is like my guilty pleasure in like metal, basically, like how I felt about Shai Hulud. And so yeah, like that album with like that, because you believe it's like three different bands basically,
Mhm.
because it was like the tail end of like, hey, we have these like punk rock songs that we never got to put on anything. We have these like songs that we started writing that because we were like, okay, maybe we should go like heavier, and then we have these songs that are like, or maybe go all the way heavy, you know. And so we like we like couldn't decide, and then we just had this weird mix of songs that we just threw on together to make an album. Just I don't know. Probably should have taken our time and like maybe not done that, but at the
Nah,
time,
I mean, it worked. And
uh,
I mean, this is what we do on our podcast, right? We talk about a lot of these bands. And, I think what's fun is we go back because there's a lot of bands that we got into second, third albums, right? Like you brought
mm-hmm,
up Boy Sets Fire.
mm-hmm,
Like After the Eulogy is like my childhood, right?
yeah,
But I didn't even know till I was older that they had an album before that.
yeah,
And so like Poison the Well, same thing,
mm-hmm,
and so you go back and listen to all these bands' first albums and you're like, there's a real battle with them on their sound and what they want
yeah,
to do. We talked about you guys and I probably said the same thing about that album,
mm,
that there's kind of a battle of what you guys are doing. And I mean, going right into the next album, I think you guys, in my opinion, figured it out flawlessly because that album is like amazing. So
thank you. Yeah, that was so that's when Daniel joined the band, Daniel Guerrero, and so we kind of like so MBR has always been kind of weird. Like it was always like it took me a long time to like stop trying to like bring. I think in my mind I was always like, at some point MBR will become a punk band again. Like at some point I'll bring it back. And we'll be like Ignite, and I don't have to scream because I hate screaming. So I was like, well, at some point, like my master plan was like, we're gonna be Ignite someday. And then I think Martin was like, no, we're gonna be like a heavy fucking band. We're gonna like, we're gonna go more like hardcore. And I think Christian, our guitar player, had really gotten into like metal. Like he was like a super punk rock dude, but he like really got into like the newer like metal that was coming out, metalcore stuff like As Lay Dying, things like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's why I think our sound like took forever to be what it was. And then when Daniel joined the band, we like we heard his style, and it was like we like trusted it. And I think it was such a compromise for all of us to be like for me, I still felt like, okay, we're probably not going to be like punk rock, but like this at least feels punk, even though it's like heavier and there's like breakdowns and stuff. There's like things that I'm it's pulling on the hardcore that I like, and like it still has like small elements of punk rock that I can, or at least for me, that I feel like I can assert myself in. And it was like a good like, and Christian and Martin dug it too. Like they had a big hand in like the sound as well. More so Martin. Martin's very particular about what he wants, and so
So
yeah,
was it like, I mean, you guys are sitting around playing music and stuff. Was it difficult to kind of come to an agreement and say, hey, like, this is what we need to do? Like, people arguing, or did you guys kind of hear the sound, even though it wasn't necessarily what you wanted? Did you hear it and think, you know what? Like, I can get on board with this. This actually works.
yeah, I think it's more of that. Well, it's like I remember for me, I was like close enough. Like that's like I feel like I'm happy with this because like there's moments like you feel us getting like even getting heavier, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to get heavier, and so it just felt like I remember not having much to say as far as like like the riffs or breakdowns or anything like that. If it my thing was always like, can we like make this part shorter, or like can we bring this part back? Like this is like this feels like a verse. Let's make this a verse. Um, and so it was definitely like I was I was happy with it, even though it didn't. There were still things about it that were like not. It wasn't quite there, but it was like definitely in the right direction. And then Illuminator was just like it was just like it was a misstep in in the sense of like we should
I
have kept.
really wanted to ask you about this album, so I'm glad that you went right into it.
Yeah, so like I think if you didn't know anything about us, like if there was like no dates on our albums, you would probably assume that like, oh, like it went, maybe because you believe Illuminator, Consequence, Cycles, Concrete Flower. Like it seems like progression. Like it felt like Consequences. So it's like you could tell, oh, that's what they wanted for Cycles. Like, but there was a
Yeah.
whole album. There's a whole album
Yeah.
in between it, and I think it was just basically like we were starting to play like heavier tours. Like we were starting to get on with like heavier bands, and so it was one of those things where we're like we need to like let's stick to what we're doing, but we need to like beef up our sound. And I remember thinking like, okay, like that, like I'm on board with that. Like we can, as long as we make the choruses catchy, then I'm okay if we lean heavier. And I think I think it wouldn't. I think Illuminator wouldn't be so jarring if it wasn't so like polished, if it wasn't so metal sounding. Because I think if we would have gone like I'm not like a regrets person at all. Like I'm happy that we did it because it served what it needed to serve. But I think had we had like if we'd gone in with that album, like even those songs, and had we gone with somebody more inclined with like hardcore, I think it would have been a much. It would have been more like. I think it would have been like at least more towards like misery signals, and
Mm.
not so much like I don't know, like metal. I don't
Like
know.
Miss
Yeah.
May I, like the stuff that was coming out right at
Yeah.
that time.
Yeah, and so I think I think it was just like our attempt to like be harder because that's like what was coming. What we were starting to tour with, and uh, and it's funny because that whole album to me is like super negative. Like if you read the lyrics, it's like me being upset with like I'm upset with like the scene. I'm upset with like other bands and how like people like treat music. And I was also getting just super jaded, dude. I was just like I was just kind of I was just kind of like I was like I was like, man, like this sounds good. I should be really happy with this. Like all right, even when the album was done, I remember thinking like I should be happier about this. And it just doesn't feel like it's what we should have been doing, I guess, or where we should have gone.
Yeah.
And so but I mean, the album helped us in the sense of like it got us on bigger tours. I think that was like the beginning of us getting I think that got us to like an international market too. I think that's like what that recording did. But it was just like if you go through and listen to it, like a lot of it is like my like discontent with like the music scene, like with like other bands. Like it's just like me like basically being like angry at like I don't know. It because
Uh,
the consequence of dreams is like the consequence of like like pursuing something and like going full steam at something, right, and you're doing it. And Illuminator I think is like shit, we did it, and like I don't
It
know, I'm
sucks.
like it sucks, yeah, I'm not happy here. And
Dude,
so
it pains me to hear you say that you don't like screaming because your screaming
dude,
vocals, it's one of the things where like early 2000s, right? It was all the fry screams. It was all stuff that
mm,
you couldn't really understand. So when No Bragging Rights, bands like The Ghost Inside, more of like that hardcore style was coming out and starting to
mm,
infiltrate into the metal post-hardcore scene and things like that. That was the sound that I attached to. And so you like specifically your vocal style is something that I was like, dude, it's like perfect. You can understand what he's saying. It's really heavy. It's aggressive and all that stuff. So I
Awesome.
loved it.
Thank
But
you, man.
that being said, now you have Burner State and Easy Out that kind of
Yeah.
appeals to that side of you. Is that where
Yeah.
that all came from then?
Oh yeah, dude. I've been like, I would have done a punk band long, like even when MBR was still going. If somebody would have offered to be like, "Hey, do you want to like sing on like this and this?" I would be like, "Dude, yes, 1,000%." But MBR was so, dude. When we were touring, we were so busy. Like it was like the best problem to have.
Yeah.
Like just constantly going. But yeah. I mean, I don't like. I say I hate streaming. I think it's just more that I just really prefer like singing, and
Sure.
it's just like, and because I like singing so much, like I just know like what streaming does to my
Yeah.
voice. So,
Yeah.
but
So
I still try. You know.
one thing I wanted to ask. So you guys pretty much were one of the first bands with Pure Noise, right?
Hmm.
What was that?
Yeah.
What was that like? Because nowadays, I mean, we've talked to a lot of, especially local, smaller bands, and we ask them about like, what's your goal with labels? Is that do you care anymore? Because it's so easy to self-produce. You know,
Yeah.
people can. It's way easier to make contacts places, right? You don't have to hit up jerks on MySpace. You know, you make friends other places through other
Yeah.
social media means. But what was that like back in the day? Because I've personally, on the outside, have heard very good things about Pure Noise. Do you still think that labels are important now? You know, what would you tell a new band coming in regarding like label and searching that stuff out?
So first off, Pure Noise is legit. Like Pure Noise is awesome. It's you know, I I have yet to hear anybody talk badly about Pure Noise. You know, and like because you know you would think that there's at least like some bands that are like, oh, you know, I wish they would do this or wish blah blah. And like I know not every thing is like perfect, but it's like I've never heard anybody have anything like really negative to say about Pure
Yeah.
Noise. We never did. Um, but I think now it's just so different, man. I think record labels are necessary, or the right record labels are necessary for like whatever it is you're trying to do. Like if you're like serious about like you want to make music your 9 to 5 and that's what you want to do, then like you know, then you know keep a good label like in the back of your mind, but like just hustle and do what you can on your own until you absolutely can't go any further, and then you could benefit from like the backing, the social, the financial backing of
Mm-hmm.
a label to do what you can't do anymore, or what you like are like tapped out of, I guess. Um, because for us, like I'm not gonna pretend like I didn't want to, like so badly wanted to be signed, right? Like that's like the dream. You know, when I started, I wanted to be on either like Fat Records or Epitaph or Tooth and Nail or something, and then it just never came. And then we signed with Standby Records. And I don't know if you guys like know the history with that, but the singer from uh, oh man, I always mess this up. It's not Close Your Eyes because that's a different band. Before Their Eyes.
Mm.
So the singer from Before Their Eyes started Standby Records,
Okay.
and so we met him, we talked with him, and he ended up signing us, mostly because he just liked our hustle. Like we had followed Warped Tour for the first time, and we just like hustled every day, like selling our CDs and selling water and stuff. And so he thought that was like he like respected that we were like willing to do that, and so he like signed us like basically like right away, and so that was awesome. And then he like very shortly after sold the label to this guy named Neil, and Neil's an asshole and like lied to our faces. Like he was just like everything. Anyway, that's a whole podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so to get out of that deal, we had to buy ourselves out of that contract, and it was like money we didn't have, but like it was like one of those things where we're like we're writing these new songs, consequence songs, and we're like, dude, fuck that, we're not gonna like release that with them. Like I'd rather eat these songs, or I'd rather just quit, like, or change our name. That was like a thought too. We're just like, maybe we just change our name and then just like release this new album, new band. And so as we're like struggling with this, our buddy Jake Round uh, had been like talking about wanting to start a label, and so it was just one of those things where like he had heard Consequence, and he was just like, dude, I want to put this out. I'll put this out. Like, I've been wanting to do it anyway. Like, I'll buy it. I'll help you guys buy out whatever's left on your contract, and then let's just do it. Like, let's do Pure
Figure
Noise.
it out. Sick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Which Pure Noise actually started as a booking agency. It was our guitar player Christian and Jake Round, who played bass for a band called Radio Suicide, and then later for a band called Creative Void. And it was they were booking agents for Pure Noise Entertainment, I think is what they call themselves. And it was basically just them acting as reps for No Bragging Rights and for Radio Suicide and Creative Void. Like, it was
Sick.
it was our guys just pretending
Yeah.
to like represent. And so, which is stupid, but that's what it took for us to get on tours. And so then Jake just took he came up with the name, so then he like kept it, and just it became, I think it was like Pure Noise Entertainment, and then it became Pure Noise Records, I think.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's backwards. I should know this.
I think the record's currently, so.
Is it
That's
okay?
probably
So
right.
yeah. So it was just Jake just being like, I've been wanting to do this anyway, and I think this album is like awesome. And so he did it, and like it was just us and Jake. And yeah, it was it's still crazy to me that he like Pure Noise is what it is. Like, it doesn't surprise me, because he's like a hustler, and like he works super hard too. And so like I'm not surprised about that, like that he would be successful, but it's like crazy like how successful like
Yeah.
the label has become, right?
I mean, Pure Noise is
so-
like the biggest label out right now. It's incredible.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're putting out fantastic stuff.
Mm.
Starting in 99, I find this really interesting, and I want to know your opinion on this.
Mhm.
You guys were talking about social medias with Sean on your podcast. You got to see no social media to MySpace dying, and YouTube, and now with Easy Out, you guys are doing stuff on like TikTok and stuff like that. So like watching this progression of social media, like, what is your thoughts around it? How necessary is social media? Is it like the bane of the music industry kind of thing? Like, what's your thoughts on social media in general?
It's super necessary, and I fucking hate it, dude. I hate it. I hate it. Just know, every video that Easy Out does, I'm like my toes are curling. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, so stupid. But it's like, it's just, I don't know. It just is what it is. I mean, I think it's also different for like where an artist is, like if we had all this stuff back in 1999, like I think we would have been huge, just because we like back then we were like I was like crazy, dude. We used to make our own flyers and like hand them out even when we didn't have shows, just like our name, promoting our name, whatever. Like, yeah, like we were like, our work ethic was like crazy back then, and we didn't even know what we were doing. We were kind of like doing so much unnecessary stuff with like the little to nothing that we had. And that was in 99, right? Like, I didn't even know what websites were, but I was like going to like websites and like finding like anything I could, like anything I found on like any, I don't know, if it sounded like a venue, or like if a band like had mentioned that they were playing at this place, I would like scour the internet, which was like this new thing to me, and I would like try to find these places. I'd contact them, and like I'd call them, which is crazy because I'm like an introvert, but I'd call them and like basically ask to play, and they're like, "Who are you guys? Like, do you guys have?" Like, "We're a band from like Riverside." They're like, "What? Like, do you have a CD?" We're like, no, we don't, but we're like punk. We're like MXPX and this and that. And the guy's like, dude, I need to like hear music, guy. Like, so I mean, we were just like, we were like little annoying kids, but like I can't imagine what we would have done with like the social media that we have now. You know, it would have been like super embarrassing because I think we would have done all the dumb stuff back then too. But I think it's like I think it just depends on like what you're going for as a band because like No Bragging Rights isn't going to be making like I don't know. We're down to like make like fun content, but like we're not. I don't see us being like that hard on on like TikTok. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like doing stuff. Like when it first came out, I think we made like an attempt at it, and then it's kind of like I don't want to keep up with this. Like I don't know. I don't want to do this. So I don't know. I think for MBR, like it would benefit us to be more of a presence with that stuff. But like I don't know, for a band like Easy Out, which is like like so much fun, but like really silly, and like how we like we take what we play, like our music, we take that seriously, but we don't take ourselves seriously like, at all. We're like
Sure.
we're all in our 40s playing 90s skate punk, you know.
Yeah.
And so we're just I think for that we're kind of just like we're just diving in because it's right, it's there, we can do it. And I think why we're doing the social media stuff so hard, like the little reels and stuff, is because we are trying our hardest to not get signed, or at least not signed yet. And so I think we are trying to do like whatever we can before it's like we need to
Sure.
like
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Grow it
So
independently. Yeah.
yeah,
So let's take this now and say like everything's at the peak. Let's say MySpace is back at the peak. Let's say YouTube, like music videos is at the peak. TikTok.
Mhm.
Which is the best social media platform? What one helped you guys the most, I guess? Whether it's No Bragging Rights and Easy Out, Burner Say, whatever.
I don't know. I mean it's hard to not say like Instagram just because it's like that's what I remember the most as far as like it was just convenient to like track and like it was easy to interact with people. Like MySpace was like it was I still remember doing a lot of work on MySpace. Like we became friends with like super random bands through MySpace because like, you know, it was you could contact anyone and it was like such a new thing. But I don't know. I don't know that like man, I don't know. Maybe actually good question because now I'm thinking maybe MySpace. Like how do we like knowing what we know now like to apply it to them?
I mean,
I mean,
realistically,
some of
I'm
those.
asking this question so that I know where to focus time.
Well, you can't. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
glad that my MySpace page doesn't exist anymore. So I'm glad that part has moved on. You know.
Yeah, yeah, I'm definitely good with that. It's always funny to like if you want to like start a fight, just be like ask somebody like, yo, like if you had MySpace right now, who would your top eight be? Or like or who would your top five be or whatever? And like it'll start like shit. Like if you ask bands to do that, it's like a shit starter because then it's like oh fuck like because
I
then
thought we were friends, man.
yeah whoever gets left off it's like what the heck. But and I don't know man I think it's like recency bias. I feel like Instagram seems to work the best for us, and like maybe because that's like what we know. Like I don't really understand TikTok at all. Like I don't.
Your
I
guess is as good as ours.
yeah. I
Yeah.
feel yeah. I've seen people blow up for like nothing videos, you know, and it's just like what? That's
Exactly.
okay. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Um. So like, we don't want to keep you all day. One of the last things I wanted to ask was I saw on the Walking Blind Instagram page, you guys say that you're like semi retired frontman or whatever
Yeah,
doing podcasts.
I don't know why
What?
that.
Okay, because I was going to ask like, what does semi retired mean, and like, do you think you could ever really just like hang up the gloves and like not make music?
No. So we should probably take that down. Is that on our Instagram or where is that at?
Yeah,
It's
it's on the
Instagram.
Walking Blind. Yeah, on Instagram. Yeah.
Um, I don't know. It just seems like I think actually okay. I think I can defend it. I feel like I feel like in Mike's mind and in my mind too, in a certain way, I feel like we've only known one way to do music, right, for so long, and it's like full on, like full time. Like this is what
Yeah.
we do. This is who we are. This is like. So I think in that sense, it's like we're still doing music, but we're not full time, you know. And I don't know if that doesn't make sense for it being semi retired.
But I get what you're saying though, that like you're not one of these youngins out there grinding every day, like just doing that, right? I mean, yeah. We were talking earlier. You have like a job, you know.
Yeah,
That's not cool, but
yeah. That's not punk.
it's not punk. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like we need to change that. I feel like there's. I think I think that's where the thinking was, where it's like we're just like not doing it full time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I just look like the last. I guess it's not an EP. Do you call your last No Bragging Rights album an LP? I don't know. That you're self-titled. That album, I probably listen to it at least once a week. Totally struck a chord with me. I love like the melodic sound in it and stuff. So if you were gonna say like, yeah, I'm done, then like, we would have problems because you got to do more stuff after that album because it's so good.
Oh, thank you, man.
So I don't want to hear the like semi-retired.
Yeah, no, we're still. I still like. I've always, which is why like No Bragging Rights never said like we were breaking up. Like I've had to like check people on that. They're like, "You guys announced your breakup." I was like, "No, we didn't. I never announced it." Just because I always think it's silly when like an artist like is done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I know there are certain cases where it's like okay, like because of the band just like hates each other, or like the band set out to do one thing and they did it and they're done. Like I can understand that, but like for us, like I even when I was like done touring, and I was just like I need a break. I don't want to I don't want to hit the road anytime soon. I was never in my mind like done, at least with No Bragging Rights. Like I just needed a break,
Yeah.
and I've always felt like we're gonna. I can't see us not. I can't see us like not being like what's the word? Like I feel like I have so much to say still. Like I still have like dude. We could have written an album basically. Like it was just a
Yeah.
matter of like timing and like it's just timing, like music wise. Like we did it was supposed to be 6 songs, and then last second uh it was like one of those like Hail Marys. Like Daniel and Tron, they wrote the EP, the self-titled, and like they just threw out this song, and I literally wrote it like flying to record. I from the moment the flight started from LA to Tacoma, I wrote entirely like the full lyrics, didn't really change a line for our song Walking Blind. And so
Wow.
that's the only reason that song is on the album or on the EP. It's supposed to be 6 songs because that's like that's an EP. Like
Sure.
we basically it's like a mini album. It's like 7 songs. Like I don't know what the runtime is. So
I'm glad that song made it on there because Walking Blind is.
I know, isn't
awesome.
that crazy?
Yeah.
And it like I literally had I not finished it on that flight, we wouldn't have done it because it would have been like silly to like when I landed, we started recording like that night.
Yeah.
Or the next day. And so it's like I don't know. The only reason why the guys even listened to being like, okay, let's try it was because on the flight, not only did I write all the lyrics, I had like a little recorder on my phone, and I was just like talking melodies just because like I heard it. I heard the whole song already.
That's so cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's way cool.
Yeah. And it was just like fine tuning in the studio. But yeah, I don't know. It's crazy.
Well, I've got one more for you, and then we'll let you out here, dude. I could talk to you forever about like lyrical content and all that stuff. Your music, like the meaning behind everything, means a lot to me. I've had a lot of weird stuff happen over the last couple of years, and so lyrical-wise, like it all hits home. So, question comes down to, I don't remember what magazine or what website usually does this, but they ask a question. What song are you most proud of, or what song do you want to be remembered for? And then vice versa, which lyric or song just makes you cringe, and you're just like, man, I shouldn't have done that.
I mean,
Could be
cringe.
it could be any of the stuff you worked with too, right?
Oh yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be NBR, Burner State, a forgotten band that no one knows about, kind of thing. Like, what do you got for us?
Oh man, I don't have it in front of me. I'm sure if I read through Illuminator, there's some stuff on there. I'd probably be like, you probably didn't have to say that. Uh, cringe. I don't know. I say magic in one of our songs, and it's like on our not an EP. Uh, uh, uh,
Not quite an
Pat.
EP. The Unafraid to
Yeah,
Burn, Passion versus Fashion.
yeah. Passion versus fashion. Uh, I say magic in our songs or magic in our music, which I thought was like because like Thrice does something very similar, but it's so much cooler when Thrice does it, and like and our song, it's like one of those things where like when we were recording it, our buddy was like, "Did you say magic?" I was like, "Yep, sure, I did." He's like, "All right, I just want to make sure that you said magic, and that's what you recorded, and that's what you're gonna record." It's like, yeah. I don't know. There's just like different. There's like there's like certain things like I just like lyrically that are like that hit me a little weird now. Just like context and stuff. I am my own champion, which is like I think it's a cool line and like for what I meant it for was, uh, you need to be an active participant in your life changing. All right, or if you're like, or if you want to get things, you want things to be better, you need to be a participant in that. Like sometimes you can't just wait for someone to just come and rescue you. You gotta like start paddling or something, right? That's what I was thinking for that. And I think when people get that, I think it's cool. But like also, I come from like a Christian background, and so like I've also seen like the side of it where people are like, I'm my own God, and that's like it's not what I wanted, intended. But I can't control what people think, so
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure there's if I had like my lyrics in front of me, I'm sure I could point to several lines and being like, probably shouldn't have said that. My favorite song, or what is it? What was the question? The song I want to be
Yeah.
remembered for?
So the one you're most proud of, or the song you want to be remembered for. Either way.
Um, I think, I think, I think probably Cycles, just because it's like I feel like it's had like the impact is like is was more than I could have ever thought it would be because I was I was writing about someone that I care about a lot, which is my dad, and I just thought like it's it's a simple it's a simple concept, but it's like sadly very common, and so I think the response to that song is always it's like crazy. It's humbling to like have the response that you've gotten to that song, and yeah, I don't know. I feel like that one I'd probably be happy with if somebody were to hear us for the first time, like and that's what they got. Um, yeah, I think that would hold through. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, dude, Cycles is
Mm,
absolutely fantastic. It's an incredible song. It was one that we actually called out on the episode we talked about, you guys.
Mhm.
Just fantastic. So
thank
it's
you, man.
awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, and Cycles the album. So like I wanted to say this earlier. So the only big change that we had was and this is what we kind of been riding with, which is like if we're gonna be if we're gonna be fast, let's be like punk rock fast, or at least have that mentality as opposed to metal fast. And then if we're gonna be heavy, let's be hardcore heavy and not metal heavy. And so
Yeah.
that was like the thinking for Cycles. And so and I think that's what we wanted to say when we were writing Consequence, but like that wasn't. It was just kind of like this is all what we all kind of think this, but it wasn't executed. I think Cycles was like the execution of that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely. That's my favorite album, you guys. So, I agree.
Heck yeah.
I
Oh, and
agree.
also, 'cause I listened to you guys' Shahilud episode. Uh, I'm on their that I always want to say "Cool to Hate" because that's like not the song.
Oh,
The
uh,
colder than a cold world. I'm on that.
okay.
You did? Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
I have the world's fastest guest vocal. I'm in there for like like 6 seconds, and it
That's
was it was
awesome.
yeah. It happened because Daniel is friends with Matt. They become like buddies and stuff. And I don't know why,
Colder
but
than the
Matt,
cold world.
yeah. At the very end, you'll now that you know I'm there. Now you'll be like, oh
You'll
yeah,
hear
that's
it.
your yeah, because it sounds way different than what they normally sound like. But yeah, he was just like, hey, do you think Mike would want to do a feature on our on one of our songs? And Daniel was like, yes, he will.
That's sick.
And he's like, do you want to ask him? He's like, I don't have to. He's like, he'll do it. And yeah, he reached out, and I was like, yeah, absolutely. When does he need it by? I'll do it right now. And they sent me the little part, and I was like, yeah, sick. I'll do like 9 takes of this little line, and yeah.
Dude, that's
So
awesome. That
That's pretty cool.
that little what is it? Just Can't Hate Enough album. So
mhm.
good. Those two
Such
new
a banger,
songs
dude.
and yeah, it's so solid.
Uh,
Yeah.
So we're going out to Furnace Fest this year, so we're going to be able to
sick.
catch those guys. So I'm
Oh,
way excited
dude.
for that.
When is
This
Furnace Fest?
that
Uh,
first week in
First
October.
weekend of
First week in
October.
Yeah.
October.
Listen, man, just throwing it out there. If you want a place to crash and you want to come out to Furnace Fest, let us know.
Yeah.
We got a hotel
Dude,
room.
We have 2 twin beds. We can make it work.
sick.
Yeah.
Dude, I'll sleep on floors, dude. I'm still punked, dude. That's not
Yeah.
entirely true, dude. We did our last MBR tour. We had hotel rooms. And it was like,
Nice.
yeah, we had to.
Got it.
Yeah.
Are you so what's the plan then? Any tours, anything else? You just getting easy out stuff dropped and
Yeah. So like right now, like Easy Out, like we're doing a lot with Easy Out right now, and then Martin's doing like a lot with Desmadre, and so we're kind of both just like kind of keeping busy with our other things. But that being said, like and I hate this because like I used to make fun of bands that would say this, but like we're writing, but like we've been writing for like 2 years, 2 years or whatever.
yeah.
So I used to hate when bands would say that, like they're writing. It's like you said that like a year ago or like 8 months ago, and what you're not done yet. That's just because like in my mind we only like lived music, and so we
Yeah.
just But
You guys got a lot of stuff going on. Desmadre rips. That I
yeah,
mean, they're so good. So and
dude,
we're pumped for Easy Out.
thank
So
you.
yeah.
Uh,
Well,
yeah,
if you come through Dallas again, let me know.
oh,
We'll go grab some barbecue or something.
dude, yes, 1,000, dude.
You can go
I'm
to
so
Utah and
down.
have Jello or some crappy food that's out there. Fry sauce.
The pie, dude, the pie
Oh, dude, the
Yeah,
pie
there you go.
bomb.
or the pie hole. Is that still a
Yeah,
thing?
yeah. That they're both
Is
solid. There's actually like several new pizza places. If you're a pizza guy, like there's actually some solid pizza joints around here right now.
okay.
Dude, don't even do that, Kyle.
Believe 'em.
Don't even do that.
You can't live in Utah for like 30 years and have crap food and then say, "Oh, it's good now." So, sorry, man.
Yeah, I think it'd be hard to like not like go to the pie or pie hole if I was. I guess
did you
if I was there for like extended time, then I could probably venture out.
did you go to the one that was like up on the University of Utah campus that was like underneath,
Yeah.
like down? Yeah.
Oh
Heck
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, man. We have oh, man, I saw like a memory of like our buddy Mark. He like was carrying the pizza and he like spilled it. Like he like literally like in a movie just dropped it. And it was like one of those things where everyone's just
Uh,
like we're all so hungry. We're like, it's okay. It's all right.
well,
But
Is your
we're all
name
like
up there?
we're
Did you
all
write your name
super
up?
bummed.
Is your name on a brick or something?
I don't know. Is that a
You guys sign
thing?
it?
I don't think
yeah,
so.
he signed the
Yeah.
wall.
I mean,
Oh, you know what? I think we did. I think Martin did.
cool.
Whether
Nice.
they allowed or not, I think Martin's our tagger.
No,
He's
they do. I mean, I've written more than just names on those bricks. So as a young person.
yeah. Ah, dude, the pie.
Awesome,
Hey,
man.
now I want pizza.
Well, I mean, date night, right? Talk the wife into going out to some pizza.
I
So,
know.
uh, well, dude, we seriously appreciate it. Like, seriously, no bragging rights has meant a lot to us. Everything you've done has meant to a lot to us.
Thank
The
you.
Walking Blind podcast, absolutely incredible. Like the message, check in on your homies, absolutely resonates with everything we're doing as well. So, I mean, we're going to tag it all, but if you want to start shouting out a couple socials or anything like that, go for it, but it will be included as well.
Awesome. Yeah, Walking Blind Pod. I think everywhere. I feel like that's. I think that's what we have. And then no bragging rights. Um, I don't know what our. I think it's just no bragging rights
It's
at like
NBR band.
Instagram. Is it MBR band?
It might be
Oh,
NBR band.
all right. Yeah, MBR band or no bragging rights. I'm sure. I should know this stuff. I don't. And then Easy Out Punks everywhere. Um, really excited for that. Burner State is we're kind of chilling for a minute. We're doing the hiatus thing. But Burner State is we still have our stuff up. But our active, the ones that are going to be most active are Easy Out and and hopefully no bragging rights here when we write. So that's kind of the thing. Like once we like have music out, then we will, you know,
Yeah,
we'll go
Nice.
support it. So
we get it. Yeah, we'll make sure to tag you and get the stuff shared. So
and you guys,
Cool,
dude,
man.
you guys' stuff is cool, man. Like I went today to kind of look through stuff, and like I already kind of have some episodes where I was like, oh, I want to see
Oh,
this, and
man.
I love, dude. You guys should. I don't want to like tell you guys what to do, obviously, but like, there's a lot of sick like Salt Lake City bands that I don't think like people know about, and I don't know. I think it's cool that you guys are doing the local thing. I
Yeah.
think you guys should definitely do that, and also like some like throwback bands too.
We're working our way through a lot of locals. If just so you know, one of the locals you should check out, who's actually coming through in August, is
Okay.
Johnny Baseball. They're coming through.
Johnny
They're playing.
Baseball. Okay.
Yeah, they're playing program. They're pop punk. They feel a lot like Set Your Goal style, so it's like the pop punk with the hardcore backing. Super solid. They have a D's Nuts cover. Like it's awesome.
Sick.
So that's a
Sick.
band that you should check out for sure.
Damn. Yeah.
Cool.
Dude. Uh. Okay. I was gonna say I'll put it in my phone, but my phone's right here. So
Well, I can also text you some.
when is that?
August 3rd, I believe, is when they're at program. So they're starting up in Chico, and there's
Mhm.
like uh, a little skate festival, I think, up there. And then they're working their way down to LA, and then they're coming back over towards Salt Lake. So I think it's August 3rd.
Oh man. Okay. Um, so my wife and I we committed to going to Yosemite that weekend, and
Gotcha.
because it's supposed to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but so we confirmed this a while ago, and then Holy Name is gonna
Yeah.
be at Glass House, and so we're like, oh, I was like, I can't miss that. So we got tickets to that, so we're gonna go to the show, and then I think we're gonna just drive overnight from the
Oh,
show.
really?
Yeah.
Dude, that's sick.
So
Dude, holy name. Tommy, he is a Utah resident now. So, like,
mhm.
we've always been big Sleeping Giant fans, Holy Name fans, like everything that he's
Same,
done.
dude.
And you guys had Death Star back in the day out in Cali. So,
Terrifying, dude. Because that was like before I was like that was like early, like I was still very new to like heavier music, and then they're like the first band where I was just like, so they mosh on stage too, and they mosh like these guys are like everywhere. Like it was like seeing Death Star for the first time was terrifying, and
yeah.
it's just funny because they're all like such like rad
yeah,
dudes. But
that's how I
yeah,
felt about Sleeping Giant too. Like
yeah,
some serious shows I've been to in the basement of a church to Sleeping Giant.
dude,
So,
and then just super violent.
yeah,
And the crazy thing is, like, couldn't be nicer guys. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Just the nicest
uh,
dudes. So,
dude, yeah. Tommy's like like, yeah, he's I look up to that dude. It's funny we haven't like talked much as far as like in person or whatever, or even hung out or anything like that. But like I've gone to see him like speak and stuff when he's been out here, and I mean, yeah, he's just like he's just real deal, man. Like
Yeah.
he does awesome music, and then it's like that's cool that he's a pastor and stuff. But then he also has like his own like he's involved with, like the nonprofit thing with the running against
Run against
human
traffic.
trafficking. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like just yeah,
All around
just a
solid
rad
dude. Right. So
Yeah,
Walks the walk. Good guy.
yeah.
yeah.
I'm jealous.
Well,
I'm jealous
dude,
you guys have him up there.
I know. The funny last time I talked to Tommy, and it was only for a minute, was at the Zabalba show. The Zabalba came through and played, and dude,
Dude.
like that brought out all the old heads. So Tommy was moshing, like all the old guys are moshing, like it was
Dude,
awesome. So it was a good time. But
that's
well,
nuts.
dude, we seriously appreciate it. We'd love to get you back on maybe when, some more music comes out, or if you guys announce a tour or anything like that, we'd love to get you
Yeah,
back
cool.
on. But yeah, we'll let you get going. So
Yeah,
appreciate your time.
dude. Yeah, thanks for having me, guys, and yeah, enjoying the podcast. So keep it up.
Thanks,
Appreciate
man.
it.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Well, peace.